In the legal world, there is a combination of forces that feed a corrupt and suffocating legal system for attorneys. Law schools, law professionals, judges, and even the firms themselves for whom you work create a system, a matrix, if you will, that is nothing like what you thought when you passed the bar exam. The purpose of this podcast is to help you escape this legal matrix, leading you out of the proverbial desert to be free of the bondage of the matrix. Hosted by Bryce D. Nyer, attorney at law with over 30 years experience in the trenches of civil and criminal litigation at the state, federal, and international levels. He's a highly accomplished and resourceful legal professional, a true master of his craft, and he's here to help you get your life back. Here's your host, Bryce D. Nyer.
All right. This is Bryce D. Nyer coming at you from Fayetteville, North Carolina, home of Fort Bragg, where we have another episode of Escape the Legal Matrix. Today's topic, it's going to be probably a little bit spicy, maybe even a little bit controversial, because we're going to talk about forgetting everything you learned in law school. Yes, so you heard what I said. Forget everything that you learned in law school. And you're like, Bryce, why should I do that? I mean, come on, man. I just paid all this tuition. Yes, you did. You are. You're paying tuition for curriculum. That's the mission of the law school, to teach you courses. Some of them mandatory, some of them are electives. But the mission of the law schools is not to train you to go out and do war with the legal matrix. It should be. It should be. In fact, this is my opinion, but I think your third year in law school should be going out there and waging war with the legal matrix of opening, owning, operating, leading a law firm, whether it's planning for your own or going into another firm or brand new law firm that's a startup, and going in there and showing them what you can do and acquiring the skill sets to lead, so that at the end of your journey in the academic world, you're either going to come in there and demand to be a partner because you spent that whole third year building that firm, or you're going to be prepared on day one when you're sworn in and you're already ready to go to open, own, operate, and lead your own law firm. This is the whole purpose of Escape the Legal Matrix, is to build 1 million litigators across the globe who have opened, who own, who operate, and who do what? You lead. You lead in the war against the legal matrix. The legal matrix is real. Yes, we're going to have this conversation. We're going to get kind of serious and deep today. The legal matrix is a beast. It is horrible. This is what I'm trying to tell you. And again, now that the presidential election is over, the lawfare and the abuseful justice system, the legal system, which is the legal matrix, it's not dead. It's not over. It still continues to march. It is an evil empire. It is an evil empire. You law students need to wake up, get off the bench, and get in the game. Yes, this is an intense podcast. Yes, we're going to talk about reality. Your world has been imploding, and it's been imploding because people are living under this delusion, this deception. And everybody thinks, I'll just go along to get along. And when that happens, it becomes a policy of appeasement, and a policy of appeasement never works. It never works. You cannot appease a tiger when your head is in the tiger's mouth. It doesn't work that way at all, period. So what I'm going to suggest to you is that you reframe the way you think. Your law school, you're only there for a season. The purpose of your season is to acquire skills academically in courses that you will actually use when you go out there to wage war in the legal profession, to wage war against the legal matrix. And the legal matrix is comprised of everyone and everything and entities that suppress freedom, that cancel truth, that seek to destroy truth. This was so clearly evident during the COVID fiasco, where governments and social media and media personalities and entertainers and everybody across the globe all got together and just truthfully to me, conspired to propel this COVID insanity, the lies and the deception and these so-called vaccines. And you saw the shutdowns and people's children being taken and people losing their jobs and people in the U.S. military being booted out. And now all of the truth is coming out. And now lawsuits are happening, and they should. And some people should go to prison, and I hope they do, because a lot of people died, and a lot of people are going to die from taking certain medicines and vaccines that they shouldn't have taken. Now, that's what the information is that's out there. That's what it appears to be. But when I saw a year or two ago, when one of the leading CEOs of one of the big pharma in the European Union getting grilled by one of the members of the parliament, one of the Dutch members, and basically came out and admitted, like, essentially to me, it's like we rushed it to market. We didn't know what the hell we were doing, so to speak, and we just needed to get it out. I mean, it was just a stunning admission. And then when you've seen everything that has come out over the last 2 years with the congressional inquiries, especially when Zuckerberg got up there with Facebook Meta, whatever the hell you want to call it, and basically kind of admitted our own federal government's kind of interference in shutting down certain types of speech, conservative speech. People that challenge the status quo, that challenge the government, that challenge the legal matrix. And you see across the globe now, like in New Zealand and Australia and Canada. I mean, my God, look at Canada. Look at Prime Minister Trudeau. Look at what's going on in Canada. I have never seen such Marxism and socialism and tyranny as I have in our neighbor up north in Canada. It's criminal. It's disgraceful. It's disgusting. And so you law students, you're going to go out there in this brave new world. Well, let's just see how brave you are. Because if you're just going to sit here on the sidelines and continue to let this insanity and this delusion and deception happen, you're going to become a victim of it. And this is what happened in the 1930s in Nazi Germany. And I'm going to tell you, I'm very, very adept and very skilled and very knowledgeable and very educated on this particular period of time leading up to and going through World War II. And what happened in Nazi Germany is you have the same thing. People sedating, sitting on the sidelines, coming out of this depression and just drinking the Kool-Aid of Hitler's policies. And they went along with it. And the legal systems in Germany became a cancer. They became infected. They became infected with this deception, this delusion, this loyalty to this insane man who rallied a nation because he tapped into the pain that they were feeling, but he was evil in the way he did it. His motives were evil. And if people had read his book, Mein Kampf, which is boring as hell, but it laid the blueprint for everything that he intended to do. And he did it. And in the course of doing it, he destroyed a nation. Millions of lives were lost, slaughtered, murdered, freedoms lost. And the lawyers in Germany at that time, they didn't do anything. The judges, they all went along with it. They didn't do anything. The state took over. And the first thing that happens when you're a tyrant is, you use the propaganda and you kill the freedom of speech and you take over the judicial system. You use the judicial system as your weapon to silence people that oppose you, that oppose your delusion and deception and lies. And so in law school, they're teaching you the academic, but they really need to teach you is how to go out there and be a gladiator, how to be a warrior. And they're not doing that. They're not doing that. It's all this happy, clappy DEI insanity, the courses, get your tuition, and you are not equipped and you are not trained to go out there and wage war. Now, each year, the American Bar Association releases a comprehensive study which talks about everything in the legal profession. And though I'm not a big fan of the ABA, this is one thing that they do right, that they put together. This report is probably one of the best reports that I've ever seen. Now, I'm going to assume for a moment that the statistics and the studies that they quote are accurate, but the signs are not so great. When you look at a lawyer's well-being, their life, and the suicidal ideations and the addictions and everything, it's the same thing. The same statistics and they may even go up, are published each year about the problems going on in a lawyer's life. And you want to know why? You want to know why lawyers commit suicide, have suicidal ideations, and they drink, and they do drugs, and they watch porn, and they have multiple affairs, and they're divorced, and go through all this stuff? It's because they have no foundation. They are not founded in truth. They are not solid in the domains of body, of being, of balance, and business, and therefore they don't have any fulfillment. And when they don't have any fulfillment, they are lost. They're like these rudderless ships slamming into the rocks till they ultimately fall to pieces, and they sink to the bottom of the abyss of bullshit. Now, I say this because we're heading into the next year here, just right around the corner. And for you law students, I mean, your world, I'm telling you, it's on fire all over the place. And in reality, you're going to have to determine who and what you are. And you're going to have to forget. You're going to have to forget all this institutionalized thinking that you've been programmed over the last 3 years. You're going to have to. You're going to have to stand up and get outside of the circle. Get outside the circle and look from the outside in. And look at you and really take a look at what's going on in the United States and all around the world and ask yourself, is this what it's about? Is this truth? And I'm going to tell you what the answer is. No. When you look at the insanity that the judicial system has thrust upon this country and this world, it's disgusting. It's just plain evil. Now, I know you think this podcast is like really Debbie Downer. Well, look, you know what? You got to deal with reality. It's just like body. I mean, you're either fat or you're not. You're either in shape or you're not. You're either eating healthy or you're not. When you get on the scale, unless you lie, the scale's not going to lie. If you look in your bank account, you either are living in scarcity or living in abundance. The numbers don't lie unless you fudge the numbers. And if you don't start living in truth, if you don't start owning up and start doing the self-assessment of body, being, balance, and business, you're never going to have fulfillment. You're never going to have fulfillment. You have to change the frame of the way you think and the way you operate. Because if you don't, you're just going to become another lemming. This is the whole point about escaping the legal matrix. This model that's been coming out of law schools and the legal profession for decades has been destroying more lawyers than you can imagine. Because think about it. Think about this conversely. If the law schools and the state bar associations and the state bars had their act together, and if they had the magic cure and everything they were saying, okay, then why do we have the stats that we have every year? Why? Because see, the legal matrix, it is a beast. It doesn't live in truth. It's to grease the palm, who you know, that whole sort of thing. And I've always said, and I've said this a bunch of times, what if every person who's alive right now today, no matter how old, had to release all their emails, their text messages, their phone logs, their search histories, every single thing on social media, all of it, every single budget, going all the way back 20 years to present. Then we would really see how everybody lives, including me. What do we do behind the scenes? What do we do when nobody's around? What do we do in the dark? Because I'm going to tell you something, God sees it. And you can laugh at that all day long. You can say, I don't believe in God. You can go ahead and go ahead. Free will, you can do whatever you want. But I'm here to tell you, we're headed into storms. We are. Storms are coming. And you law students are either going to live in truth and you're going to open, own, operate, and lead your own law firms in a totally different way and live the warrior's way, or stopping the line, telling the truth, and doing the work, or you're going to die in the abyss of bullshit. And I know many of you, a lot of you out there, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that. That is what has gotten the world into trouble, besides original sin. And nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. But this most recent election for the presidency, people got sick of bullshit. A lot of them did. A lot of them wanted the status quo. You can only live in sanity and delusion and deception for so long, just like Hitler. Hitler said, I'll have 1,000 year right. That lasts from 1933 to 1945, 12 years. Then it was destroyed, and he destroyed millions with it. Soviet Union, kind of sprung up there around 1917. By roughly 1990, it had pretty much fallen apart. Now, Russia's still a superpower, but it just goes to show you certain regimes will always crack from within. Empires rise and fall. And those that are like Babylon, those that live in deception, delusion, lies, and sin and everything, they'll die out. You can't have a foundation of lies. You can't live that way in your personal or your professional life. So you've got to change the frame. You've got to forget what you learned. You've got to start from ground zero. So when you take the bar exam, yeah, you're going to answer the academic questions, the fact patterns, and you're going to take the multiple guess questions, what we call the multi-state, and you're going to get sworn into some jurisdiction, maybe more than one. And if you're not careful, you're going to get pulled into the abyss of, well, this is just the way it is. Well, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. What are you going to be? You're going to be a pawn? Or are you going to be a king or queen? What are you going to be? You going to live in truth, or are you going to live in lies? You going to live in deception, delusion? Or are you going to cast it aside? You have to learn to change the frame. You have to learn to change the frame of how you think. Because what you've been taught is not going to assist you when you get thrown into this like Roman Colosseum, the legal matrix. It is going to beat you down and take your life and your freedom if you don't learn the skill sets right here, right now. Not wait, but to live and operate in truth. And I'm going to keep coming at the legal profession. I'm going to keep coming for the folks to escape the legal matrix. I've seen people die. Lawyers who have committed suicide, lawyers who drank themselves to death, who right now, I know a couple lawyers tearing each other's lives apart in a divorce. Tearing each other's lives apart. Two prominent lawyers. It's horrible. And they're stupid. And they're destroying their lives because of their vanity and their ego. And they'll ultimately destroy all those around them too, if people let them. So yeah, this is a heavy subject. Forget about what you learned. Take your academics, but live in truth, operate in truth. Live the warrior's way. Open, own, operate, and lead your own law firm. Do it the right way. Do it the right way. Change the frame. Change the frame. All right, this is Bryce coming at you from Fayetteville, North Carolina, home of Fort Bragg, where every day men and women don the uniform. And what do? They go out there and wage war for the freedoms that we often take for granted, and they change the frame. All right, this is Bryce D. Nyer, and I am out of here, and love and light.